How should Biden have reacted to that inflation joke? That's what people are going to ask. They're going to say, oh, Michael, lighten up. Come on. What was he going to do? Yes, it's a bad look for a joke about record high inflation, record high gas prices, record high food prices, things that are really hurting a lot of Americans. It's a bad look for Biden to laugh at that. But what was he going to do? There's actually an answer to this. It's true. Had Joe Biden frowned and grimaced and gotten really angry, that wouldn't have worked. That would not have landed either. Had he pulled a Will Smith and gone up and smacked Trevor now in the face, that probably wouldn't have worked either. But likewise, he also shouldn't have just laughed and guffawed and bellied over and clapped his hands. That wasn't a good look either. What he could have done is the sort of thing in a roast even, or when someone tells an off-color joke that you don't want to laugh at, you don't want to assent to, but you don't want to seem like a stick in the mud, you kind of say, hey, come on. You know, you put a little bit of a smile on your face, but you say, that's too far. Hey, come on, buddy, put your finger out there. A younger Joe Biden would have gotten this. The reason I'm even focusing on his reaction here is not because it shows Joe Biden to be some evil kind of genius or any kind of genius. He's certainly never been that. It's to show you how much he's lost of his old political instinct. Joe Biden of 20 years ago, 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, would never have made that mistake. That clip of him laughing at inflation and laughing at gas prices going up and laughing at his terrible economy, that's going to be in every Republican campaign ad from now until November. Okay, that is going to be plastered across the airwaves. It was a political misstep. Joe Biden, when he had his marbles, or at least some of his marbles, he wouldn't have fallen into that trap. He would have had a much better political gut. But he's lost that. We played a clip last week on the show. Now Joe Biden blames his senility, his obvious senility, on the reemergence of a childhood stutter. Well, look at a clip of him 5, 10, 20 years ago. He didn't have that stutter. I'm not saying he was a Rhodes Scholar, but the fella could speak. He knew how to read a political scene. He knew how to read a room and slap a back and smile. That was his political skill. He didn't have that. It was really ugly. It did not look good at the White House Correspondents Dinner. Biden then gets up and reads his jokes himself. The presidents generally do pretty well at the White House Correspondents Association dinner because they hire Hollywood comedy writers to write all the jokes for them. So Biden gets up, and his sharpest joke of the night was a joke about the difference between the modern Republican Party and the party of Ronald Reagan.
But I'm not worried about the midterms. I'm not worried about them. We may end up with more partisan gridlock, but I'm confident we can work it out during my remaining 6 years in the presidency. I'm not really here to roast the GOP. That's not my style. Besides, there's nothing I can say about the GOP that Kevin McCarthy hasn't already put on tape. At the same time, a lot of people say the Republican Party is too extreme, too divisive, too controlled by one person. They say that's not your father's Republican Party. Ronald Reagan said, Mr. Gorbachev, tear this wall down. Today's Republicans say, tear down Mickey Mouse's house. And pretty soon they'll be storming Cinderella's castle, you can be sure of it. But Republicans seem to support one fella, some guy named Brandon. He's having a really good year, and I'm kind of happy for him.
Delivery is not what it once was, not exactly Don Rickles up there, but you get the joke. The joke is, and he didn't even get the line right, by the way. It's probably 4 of the most famous words in American history. Tear down this wall. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. And Biden couldn't even remember that, though he was in the United States Senate at the time. But he says, okay, the old GOP said, Mr. Gorbachev, tear this wall down. And the modern GOP says, tear down Cinderella's castle. Ha, 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 ha. But even that joke underscores a big political weakness for Democrats right now. Yes, during the Cold War, the conservatives were unified, focusing on problems overseas because you had a threat from the Soviet Union. You had the threat of the Cold War. Once the Berlin Wall fell down, then there was a Cold War that was being waged not around the globe, but a cold cultural war that was being waged at home. That has become hot on many occasions. Why is it that modern-day Republicans are saying, Mr. Disney, tear down Cinderella's castle? Because the Walt Disney Corporation is trying to trans little kids. It's not just Disney that's supporting this. It's pretty much every woke corporation, and it's teachers all the way down to kindergarten and preschool who are now insistent, with the support of elected Democrats, up to and including Joe Biden, up to and including all of the White House agencies, saying it is essential healthcare. It is so important for 5-year-olds to be put on puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, potentially have their bodies mutilated if little boys think they're little girls. That's the joke. These modern Republicans, they don't even think we should chop off 5-year-olds' genitals. Yeah. And the White House Correspondents Association, they're all laughing because they're all pro mutilate little kids' bodies. They're all pro put little boys on cross-sex hormones and little girls on testosterone. They're all in favor of that. And they don't realize how completely out of touch they are with the rest of America, not just with Republicans, not just with conservatives, but with parents everywhere, all around the country. They don't even get it. If you want to be able to tell jokes, you need to have some connection to the common sense. You need the things that you're saying to resonate with people. Ordinary, common people, not just whacked out liberals who think that it's a good idea to transgender 5-year-olds. And they have lost that common sense. And this is not my own wish casting. This is not my own ideological view of things. I'm just, 1, looking at common sense, 2, looking at tradition, and 3, looking at the poll numbers. There's a Marist poll that just came out of voting preferences among parents of kids under 18. So when this is a poll of 1,300 national registered voters that just took place a couple of weeks ago. When you look at just voters who have children under the age of 18, they are twice as likely to vote for Republicans as for Democrats. So please, Joe, keep telling that joke. Bring it on. Because the joke ultimately is going to be on you. It's going to be on the Democrats. It's going to be on the White House Correspondents Association and Biden and big tech and the media and the whole thing. It's just all the liberal blob. Now, maybe they rigged the election. I don't know. Wouldn't be the first time. But absent some true shenanigans, absent some suspension of the ordinary election rules and getting rid of the poll watchers and violating the state constitution in certain places, absent that kind of active rigging of the election. Right now, if you look at the poll numbers and you look at the way that the Democrats are campaigning, including in their jokes, including all the way up to Joe Biden, the Democrats are in for a tsunami come November. I'm glad you liked that clip. Now, ding, 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 ring that bell, subscribe, get all the notifications for all of our videos. You can also head over to The Michael Knowles Show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you listen to your audio podcasts. Subscribe, get it. You'll thank me later. Leave a 5-star review if you don't mind. We'll see you next time.